first round of the Gentry Open finale. We have Jelle Gyselinck, the previous champion, and Tom Vandevelde, who's been pretty much our proponent of the format since it started. We have Tom Vandevelde on what he said himself is a very juicy brew. And what is he playing? I see Nullwood Dryers, Moldgraft Scavengers, indicating that we have a Delirium brew. It has Pilgrim's Eyes, Stoic Builder, Seed Guardians. For his rares, he went for Ishkana, the Legendary Spider, Sidisi, Emrakul, Liliana the Last Hope, and other than that, it's mostly the standard Delirium cards, so green, black Delirium. Jelle, in the meantime, is gone for, I see, main deck Duresses, Murders, Reef Soul, so black Control, Angelic Purge, a bunch of barely readable cards, main deck Flaying Tendrils, Emrakul, Promise End, Sorin, Grim Nemesis, Obnixilis. So he's black-white Planeswalker control. See that we have a little issue with the camera. Let me try and fix that first. Cut down autofocus. There we go. That should fix the moving camera. Video capture device. Yeah, not having my own director. I'll be doing a lot of different stuff with commenting, with making sure the cards come into play to help you guys out. So if things go a bit slower than you'd expect, sorry for that. If I make mistakes, if I put up the wrong card, feel free to let me know. I'll make it happen. Where you see the lightning bolt right now, I'll try to keep up to date with yeah. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on if I'm fast enough. Jelle with a very cheeky question if his opponent wants to concede already. And we're on our way with a Dryad. Nullwood Dryad. That gets picked off with a deadweight and is replaced by a Moldgraf Scavenger. These turns going pretty fast. Jelle's answer is Transgress the Mind. Just to see, to take a look at Tom's hand and try and take it apart. So Jelle choosing to exile the CDC. That's the mono black CDC that lets you tutor for a card. And leaving the cards on the table to have a good look and plan what the next few turns will look like. He changes his mind, so it's the Ishkana that hits exile instead. Ishkana. Tom coming in for 0 and playing a Pilgrim's Eye. So we still have the Dryad that's lying there is in fact in the graveyard, of course. So both these players are playing decks that have a less impressive early game and hope to transition this into a stronger late game. For Jelle, this means playing more powerful card. For Tom, that will mean actually getting to activate his Delirium, so all his cards get a bunch of extra effects. So apparently Tom still doesn't have Delirium, but is hitting Jelle for the first bit of damage. Jelle confused by the life total, the device contraption. Point of attention is that a Seed Guardian went into the graveyard for Tom, which indicated to Jelle already the kind of deck he is playing against. Tom playing Grapple with the Past, or Grapple the Past, what is it? Grapple with the Past. To get his graveyard even fuller, he now has enchantment land, creature instant, so he does have Delirium at this point. And going on to the offensive. So Jelle is starting to take some damage. Like I said before, Tom has Delirium activated, so there might be some issues coming for Jelle. Deadweight on the Moldgraft Scavenger is pretty much just to mitigate some damage in the next couple of turns, but of course isn't a permanent answer. And there is the Seed Guardian we already saw hitting the graveyard a little earlier. Actually very happy to see Tom playing this card. It's something I was brewing with quite a bit as well. And Tom playing another Vessel of Nascency to get some more options. Didn't see what the card exactly was that he got from it. And Jelle has the double flaying tendrils to wipe the board. This also takes care of the Seed Guardian's ability. Since it's exiled, that means it doesn't get the token either. So even though it seemed like a somewhat bad trade for Jelle, it's actually a pretty good answer. Jelle's deck quite capable of exiling threats instead of just destroying them, which against this deck from Tom is a very valuable ability. Jelle now on board with a Throbbing Inspector, and the blank card you see there is the clue that was made by it. So Jelle looks to have stabilized at this point. I'm actually interested that he chose to sacrifice a land rather than the Clue or the Thraben. I guess he thinks it's worth more at this point. The most expensive card in his deck is 6 mana with Sorin, I think. No, he is playing the Emrakul, the Promised End. So throwing away a land is quite a big decision for this deck. I think that's Murasa, Pulse of Murasa. Pulse of Murasa, gaining him a bunch of life. I didn't see what he got back. Tom, wat heb je teruggenomen? Yeah, so he took the Evolving Wilds back, which is on top of his graveyard right now, and sacked it straight away. So Tom going for development of his mana. He was a bit stuck in the mana department, and here we have Sorin from Jelle ready to take over the game. Planeswalkers are a pretty big deal in this format, as finding answers to them can be pretty problematic. So apparently Jelle chose to plus the Sorin. I missed the card he actually drew, but I think it had converted mana cost 5, so should be quite impactful. Now, take into account that Tom has the Undead Vizier, the CDC, in his hand, so he can tutor at this point for any card in his deck if he chooses to also sacrifice the 4/6 for it. But that doesn't seem like the most interesting thing to do. So both players sort of in the tank. I was looking for a soundboard for moments like this, so I can give you some nice chirping crickets or some very suspenseful violin music. But I guess we'll have to do with what the players are doing. So that's another Moldgraph Scavenger. At best, this will be fodder for the Sorin. Jelle plays Read the Bones, looking for something interesting to draw. And also manipulating the top of the deck, possibly for Sorin's ability. Jelle chooses to keep one on top, draws 2 cards. Yeah, of course he can't set up the top of his deck for Sorin, but he has a Reef Soul to take care of the Moldgraph Scavenger. That means he gets to keep his Sorin to actually deal damage. Packs in for 1 damage with the Thraben Inspector. And Tom still under a lot of pressure to produce something to threaten the Sorin. Let's have another look at that Sorin, because it is taking up the entire game right now. So I think Jelle plussed it twice, meaning it's at 8. He's 1 loyalty away from getting the big ultimate that would make around 20 tokens. Tom choosing to play the CDC without using the exploit ability, so he just wants a beefy beater, inviting or forcing Jelle to use the minus ability on Sorin, so it stays away from ultimating. Now Jelle has the option of keeping the Thraben Inspector on defense, putting Sorin at 9 right now, then using the Inspector for defense and activating the ultimate next turn. Of course, if Tom has any removal spells for the tiny 1/2, that entire plan falls in the water. You also see that Jelle is wearing a tiara. It's we have a sort of a King of the Hill game where the person who won the previous event gets a tiara, and whoever is paired against them has a chance to win the tiara and the booster. If the person with the tiara, if the bounty player wins himself or herself, then a random booster is given away. Second Thraben Inspector hits the board. That's the one that was drawn off the +1 of Sorin. So Sorin at 9 now. If Tom has a Flaying Tendrils, he gets rid of both of the Inspectors, but of course his CDC shrinks a bit as well, meaning that it doesn't deal as much damage. At least it keeps it off ultimate. Again, both players in the tank thinking and considering. Jelle has a lot of mana available to him, so he's at least representing the possibility that he might respond to anything that Tom does, which would be a very bad thing. No matter how you look at it for Tom. I know how Tom feels. It's the desperation moment when your opponent has a big mythic against you. Planeswalker is even worse. Tom choosing to go for a Vessel of Nascency again. Not sure what he's hoping to find with that. Finds himself a swamp, dumping a lot of stuff in the graveyard. I think I already spotted the Flaying Tendrils, the minimum requirement to survive here, in his graveyard. In his hand, sorry. Not sure what that is. I think it's a vexing scuttler. Vexing scuttler. Yeah, so vexing scuttler. When he casts it, he may return an instant or sorcery from his graveyard to his hand. It has emerged, so he sacrificed the CDC to get this into play. So because Tom has the Flaying Tendrils, he's actually not afraid of the ultimate on Sorin. The Flaying Tendril pretty much negates all the tokens Jelle can put on the table. It's an interesting game so far. Very swingy, very back and forth. These are both pretty good players that are very well aware of what each other's deck can do. As proven by Jelle here, using the minus ability on Sorin just to get the Vexing Scuttler off the table. Jelle probably also realizes how easy it is to answer the ultimate, and that's I believe a Scrying Glass for a Jelle. No, that's not what it's called. A Magnifying Glass, sorry. For Jelle, providing him with both mana and clues.
Magnifying glass.
Yeah. And another Read the Bones. To refill his hand. Another Thraben Inspector also entered the board to provide a little chump blocker. And Tom has a grapple with the past. Didn't catch what he got with it. And Tom produces yet another Vexing Scuttler. Taking back an instant or a sorcery from his graveyard and trying to keep some pressure on the board to threaten at least the Sorin that's on the table there. Jelle on the beat down plan with his Thraben Inspectors. That's actually the name of his deck, Thraben Beatdown. Being very true to its name right now. Tom rather taking damage than allowing Jelle to kill, Jelle to kill off his Vexing Scuttler. Jelle gaining 0 life off the +1. I think Sorin is at 5 now. So had Tom blocked with the Scuttler, Sorin could have -4'd. I would have actually blocked there to tempt Jelle at least into using the -4 and getting rid of the Sorin. By the way, if there are any people in the chat interested in what's going on, if you have any questions or wishes for me to do, if you think I'm doing a bad job and do something different, feel free to dump it in the chat, let me know, and I will do my utmost best to help you out. In the meantime, Jelle dumping Emrakul, the Promised End, onto the table, to which Tom scoops up his cards. And we're going into the sideboard. Jelle wins game 1. He has available to him 2 Felidar Cups, 1 Fate Forgotten, 2 Duress, 2 Night Snares, 2 Mirror's Malice, 1 Reef Soul, 4 Token Free Blades, and 1 Pacifism. So He has quite a bit of discard tools available to him to combat control strategies. He has a little bit of removal. The token free blades are probably there for really aggressive decks that he's having a hard time keeping pace with. I don't think he would board them in against the type of decks that actually board out the removal, because that means he only has 8 creatures capable of actually attacking. So looking forward to seeing a pacifism, Reef Soul, and probably a little bit removal from him. Meantime, in Tom's sideboard we see 3 Duress, 3 Caustic Caterpillars, 1 Aerial Volley, 1 Pulse of Maraza, 2 Deadweights, 2 Read the Bones, 1 Oblivion Strike, and 2 Negates. Two Negates, okay. In his land base he has 1 island he can fetch. We've already seen him fetch it with a Pilgrim's Eye as well. So Tom as good options has 3 Duress, 2 Read the Bones, and 2 Negates to bring in as counter control measures. He's probably going to take out a bit of his removal. So he has Deadweights and Reef Souls that quite readily make place for Duress, Negates, and probably Read the Bones, maybe even Pulse of Murasa. Probably taking out some of his less impressive creatures. Stoic Builder doesn't seem that interesting. It's only a one-off, and maybe the one-off Corpse Churn in his deck as well coming out. So this is probably going to be an 8 Duress matchup, something we see happen quite a lot in our format. So both players are ready to go. Sideboarding is done, ready to go into game 2. Jelle won game 1, so let's actually put some text in here to show that and remind us where we are in this game. Also helps new viewers to understand what is going on. I managed to turn it upside down, didn't even know that was possible. There we go. And we are ready to go again. Life totals at 20. Tom Vandevelde starting the game here.
Jelle, kun je dat live total bordje recht laten?
Ja, perfect. So the interesting thing here is that both players actually have Emrakul, but Tom Vandevelde's Emrakul is quite a bit stronger, because then he gets to use or abuse Jelle's Planeswalkers. It's very hard to deal with Planeswalkers before the Emrakul resolves. What you'll often see is people playing cards from instants from their hands suboptimally, just to make sure that the opponent doesn't get to squeeze all the advantage out of them. Tom choosing to keep his opening 7, Jelle going down to 6. I think I saw 1 land hand that he shuffled away. Not much you can do there. 6 cards. And Jelle decides to keep, scries the top card to the bottom, and we are on our way. Evolving Wilds for Jelle. One of the corner cards in our format, of course. Our supreme fixing. For the people that don't know, starting in Kaladesh, enters the battlefield. Tapped lands that make 2 colors will start becoming common and remain available in standard. And a Forsaken Sanctuary for Jelle, further fixing his mana. Tom so far on only 1 color and hasn't committed anything to the board, but now has his first Evolving Wilds as well. And the first actual action in the game is Night Snare. So it's a weird discard spell that allows you to look at a hand, and then if you see 1 card that really needs to go, you get to choose that one. If there's not one particular card you want to get rid of, you can make the person discard 2 cards instead. Jelle noting down, we see Liliana, the Last Hope, in Tom's hand. Yeah, hitting the graveyard straight away. The rest of his hand is a negate, some Moldgraft Scavenger, and some self-mill Delirium cards. I see a Gnarlroot Dryad and a Gather the pack there. Tom getting a forest, obviously, since all the cards in his hand are green. The Stoic Builder is pretty interesting now because it... Wat?
Alles wordt opgezocht en op het scherm gebracht.
So Stoic Builder getting back the Evolving Wilds, and he uses it straight away. It's a nice interaction between those two. There's actually a few cards that interact very favorably with Evolving Wilds. Bloodbriar is another one of them. Whenever you sack a permanent, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Oh, but Jelle follows that up with an Obnixilis. So ready to control the board, choosing to lose a life and draw a card here. And Tom attacking, using his Stoic Builder to get down a few of the loyalty counters on Obnixilis. Not much else he can do here. So Tom needs some pressure to answer the Obnixilis. If he leaves it on the table for too long, the card advantage is pretty likely to overrun him. Gather the pack. Looks at the top 5 cards and gets to choose a creature from that. He doesn't have Delirium, doesn't have Spell Mastery, so he doesn't get to take 2 of them. I didn't see what he actually chose there, but the Gnarlroot Dryad. Gnarlroot Dryad is the one that hits the table. Gnarlroot Dryad. I'm not sure why I keep getting the Trapper. It's Gnarlwood. Gnarlwood Dryad. And he does have Delirium at this point, so it is a 3/3 Death Touch. Think that Obnixilis is at 2 loyalty right now. Deadweight neutralizes the Stoic Builder. It doesn't kill it, it's still a 0/1. So again, Jelle uses the Deadweight more as damage mitigation than rather than actual removal. So he uses Obnixilis to get rid of the Dryad. So that means it was on 4. Yeah, it starts on 5, drew card, took 2 damage. It was on 4, it's now on 1. Jelle then plays a Throbbing Inspector. Quite capable of protecting Obnixilis at this point. And a second Nullroot Dryer and a Moldgraft Scavenger hitting the fray. Moldgraf, god damn it, Moldgraf Scavenger, which of course has 3 power as well. Jelle drawing a card with Obnixilis, looking for answers, trying to keep Obnixilis on the board as long as possible. Sacrifices the Inspector's clue, so sending his clue to investigate, and has a magnifying glass to follow up. That does mean his Obnixilis will die to this attack if Tom attacks it with both his Nullwood Dryad and the Moldgraf Scavenger. But in the meantime, Obnixilis has provided Jelle with quite a bit of card advantage. The black-white control deck has a few different iterations for those of you that are interested. There's also a version that uses called the Bloodline to provide a token army. Yeah. Tom sending everybody in. Jelle doesn't even block because it would die anywhere, and we have another Moldgraf Scavenger. Now, Jelle under a lot of pressure. I hope with the cards that he drew, he found quite some removal, preferably of the sweeping type. But it looks like he's still digging for things. Have a quick look at what he's playing. He's actually only playing 1 glass, and he is playing Descend Upon the Sinful as a sweeper. I don't know if he still has Flaying Tendrils in his deck, but I don't think it would be a bad idea to do so. But right now, Tom looks to be very firmly in control. And the Grapple with the Past gives him a huge selection. I think that was a Gnallwood Dryad for him, which is again a 3/3 right now, and he just drew a Seed Guardian, so he has some beef to add to the board, but all of it just gets swept away with a double Flaying Tendrils, again assuming those are still in the deck, since we haven't seen them yet. Tom alpha striking with everything that has power. I missed the dead weight that was played on the Nullwood, so that is just a 1/1 dead touch. Jelle choosing to kill it. Let's say Bless the Lines. So what happened here is Jelle played it in the end of combat after the Nullwood Dryad already died, so that Tom would have to sacrifice one of the other 2 creatures. You can still do this. And it's a semi-advanced trick that I think a few people would have missed. The problem with this play, if it's a problem, is that you still take damage from the attacking creature first. Negate takes care of the Transgress the Mind. Apparently Tom has something in his hand that he wants to protect, or at least give Jelle that idea. And this time Jelle under a lot of pressure. Again, a nicely interactive and swingy game. It's another Nullwood Dryad. 1 mana 3/3s. Sounds pretty good. It's the kind of card that I like to play, really. It's a thing that gives you early game plays while still providing a little bit extra for late game. And that is a Myers Malice. And I do believe he used the Awaken mode on it. Yeah, so we have a 3/3 swamp in play there. Tom now forced to think. His Scavenger is a 3/4, so that survives the attack, but he chooses to keep the 3/3 Death Touch back. That's a Duress. Just to have a little peek at what's coming, sees an empty hand, just 2 lands for Jelle. And here we have Sorin again. -4s it to get rid of the Scavenger. In the meantime, gains 4 life. Tom attacking with the 3/3 Death Touch and the Sorin. Jelle blocks with the land, then uses it for mana and make a clue token with a magnifying glass. And then Tom has a Read the Bones to search for some answers. Scries too.
What? Ja,
Jelle gets to plus it. Oh, and reveals Emrakul. That isn't exactly the kill, but Tom scoops them up anyway. So 2-0 for Jelle, and I'm going to put you